everyone, how are you feeling today? It's Everyone here, and today I'm coming at you with an update to my Demise and Ruin Ritual deck profile. Now, the update video, I'm pretty sure I'm going to upload it tomorrow. It's very quick. Worst case scenario, I'll just upload it at the start of the week because we did reach the goal. But I felt like doing a deck profile for the week first is a little bit more important. As well as, like, I actually plan to do different decks than this, not because I don't like the deck, but, like, I ordered a bunch of cards, and then in the middle of the order, they said to me that, like, somebody already bought them, and then I paid in, PayPal, and then PayPal still withdraw from me the money, but then I kind of, like, gave them, because, like, the stores told me that they didn't take the money, and PayPal, the only one took the money, and then I asked PayPal to just give me back the money, and the money didn't come back yet. It's supposed to come back in the next few days. It's not that, like, oh my god, this is really bad, but, like, this is not my own credit card. I'm putting it on, like, a different one for safety reasons, and because of that, it's, like, it's a little bit of an issue. So new cards that I actually planned for particular decks like Vendrids and other stuff are a little bit held up right now, but for the time being, we'll still have the ability to do different deck profiles, which I just looked at your comments and stuff like that and seen that, like, this is a deck that people wanted me to update with different stuff, so let's get started. So starting things off, we're going to start with the Demise lineup. First off, we'll start with the big boy, the Supreme King. This one doesn't really matter if you use only ritual monsters for summon him or not, because you don't really care about the paying 2,000 damage, because his effect is you pay 2,000 life points, should I say, like, pay the 2,000 life points, not 2,000 damage. You pay the 2,000 life points, you pop every card on the field, and then your opponent takes 200 damage for each card they control that was destroyed. And then the other effect is that if he's ritual summoned on the field, you pretty much get the abilities that your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. But the other effect that, like I said, when you ritual summon, you don't pay the life points, which doesn't really matter if you're trying to OTK, but, like, it could be nice if you're, like, going to more of a grind game, which is kind of weird when you go into a grind game with this deck. Moving on to the next cards of the Demise family, I run 2 copies of the original Demise. I felt like original Demise is still very good, even not by using, like, the Supreme version, because you can pay 2,000 life and destroy all cards on the field. It's not, like, inflicting the additional damage like the big guy, but still very viable. It's weaker by 600 attack, which that's make it, like, less good than the big one, but it's still very nice. Like, I am considering maybe even bumping this card up to 3, because it's probably the better of the originals. It's just absolutely better than the Ruin. So, I just feel like this card is just not that bad. And then lastly, I play one of the Demise Agent of Armageddon. I feel like this card is still pretty okay. It's just, you summon it, you pop a card, and then if you use it for ritual summon or you send it to the graveyard, you pretty much can target a ritual monster and pretty much make that your opponent cannot activate card or effect in response to the activation of your ritual monster's effects. So you give it that effect, that monster that effect, and then your opponent cannot activate effects in response for your rituals, which is really cool and just really helps the deck. Then we'll move on to the Ruin lineup. We only run the Ruin Supreme Queen of Oblivion, not Demise. We run 6 Demises and only 3 of the big Ruin. I don't think like the other than the big Ruin, the rest are really good. I mean, I am considering the little version, the Angel version, really much, but the original version is actually kind of not that great. Even though it can continuously attack over and over, it's still not that great as this one, because this one is just protecting your monsters by destruction of card effects if you have this card ritual summoned. And the reason why this is so important for this card to be used only for rituals is because if you use only for rituals for this card, you get to attack twice, and when she attacks and destroys a monster, she pretty much get the ability to inflict battle damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster original attack, which is really, really powerful. So, you know, it just, you use ritual monsters, even if your opponent don't got any monsters, it's still 58 damage to the face, but if you get rid of a monster, it's still, it could be more than that. So I feel like, yeah, she needs to be used with a full ritual, so that's very, very important for her specifically. And then the last two ritual monsters, I run one copy of Cyber Angel Benton and one copy of the Incantation Chalice Slime. Some people maybe consider this a little bit of a weird lineup of like only one of Benton and one Chalice Slime, but I feel like these two cards are essentially a brick. Maybe Chalice Slime is not one of them, maybe this is the one that I need to bump up to 2. But Cyber Angel Benton is definitely a brick because she can search when you tribute her, but if you don't have the original spell and then a level 4 on the field like a Manju, which we do play with, it can search this, and Preparation of Rites can search this, it's kind of become a dead card in a way, because it just sits in your hand because you need for the original ritual spell the exact level to summon the ritual monster from your hand, and then for the other ritual spell you need to use monsters from your field, which doesn't work. And then the other problem is that the Incantation ritual spell don't use any monsters except from Incantation. So it's like, this card is really, really nice, but it just have a problems, and it's so searchable, so I need only one, and that's how I play this deck. This deck is so searchable by itself, so I feel like, you know, one copy of this is more than enough, and it still does a job of like searching Ruin, which is that's what I want. And then, like I said, the Incantation, it just activates your Incantation engine. Really powerful, very good of a card. For the rest of the Incantations, I run 2 copies of Talismandra, the ones that search ritual monsters. Kandil, the one that search ritual spells. Bookstone, the one that recycle ritual spells. And then Pencil Plume, the one that recycle ritual monsters. Now I would say that Bookstone is probably the weakest one, but unlike Necros, you're playing here something like around 7 ritual spells, which is a little bit better than 6, and you don't mind, and you kind of need the additional Incantation name. Trust me, it's a little bit more important than for Necros that can just do a lot more shenanigans. And because of that, I feel like 2 of this is actually not that bad. I can consider, like, if you really want to, you can cut this 1-to-1, but I feel like, you know, you want this even in your hand just because, sorry about that, just because it's better to open up with these guys than these guys in your hand, because these, you can only use one effect per turn of, like, you know, you reveal the, for this, with this and this, you reveal a ritual monster, and with this and this, you reveal a ritual spell, special summon them, and then you can summon another one from the deck. But you can only use one of the effects per turn. So if you pretty much special summon this, and you then special summon this, you get a ritual monster. But if you special summon this, and then special summon it, for example, from Chalice Slime effect, you don't get any ritual monster. So it's very, very important to know how to play with your incantations, because it's actually very, very important to get the correct searches that you want, because you can only use one effect per turn. Moving forward for the last monster that I'm actually using for, like, you know, the Ritual Synergy, 3 copies of Manju. It's another really good way to search your cards, and they're so searchable with this, so it's not even a question. And then lastly for the monsters, it's going to be a weird one, but this can be whatever you want. It can be a hand trap, it can be Called by the Grave, but I found this one to be the best for the deck. I run 3 copies of Dino Wrestler Pankratops, because Pankratops is, A, it's 26, so it's helpful for OTK. B, it's a pop. It's kind of like an MST, or, like, you know, like a 1-for-1 effect of, like, bound, like, you know, tributing this to then destroy another card. And 3, it's a level 7, which makes your level 3 Pencil Plume viable to make a level 10, as well as that it works with your other ritual spell. This one, that like doesn't require you to have the equal levels, but does require you to have ritual, like you have monsters on the field. And because of that, this one is just so good to have. It's so utility in the deck, and I feel like this card is just absolutely insane in a deck like this, and that's why I run 3 of this card. And that's another reason why I don't run, I run this card is because, well, I don't have Pot of Extravagance, so this is pretty much supposed to be instead of that as well. Moving on to the spells, first off, the spell that I talked about probably the most, End of the World, this one just summoned the original Ruin and Demise, which is really, really good because these guys, the big ones, count as Ruin and Demise in the hand, so that's the entire gimmick. And this one needs specifically the Ritual Tribute to be exact, so that's the biggest downside of this card, but you can use cards from the hand or field, which is pretty nice. Then we have this one, which is... that's why I'm playing the Prankratops mostly. He can be better in the case of, like, you know, level. It's a lot more flexible, but the problem is that this requires you to only use monsters on the field, which is pretty terrible. But I would say this, though. It does have another grave effect if you're going first or whatever, to then, like, you know, shuffle itself back into the deck and then get the original, and then you can get Demise, which is something that you almost never use, but it's still very nice in that regard. And also it's searchable because it has the name Ruin and Demise on itself, so it is searchable with Preparation of Right. If you want to, you can get away with 2, but I feel like maximizing on ritual spells in this deck is actually very important. But like I said, like, this could be an option to be a card that you can cut down to 2 if you really want to. And then lastly, 1 Incantation Inception for the ritual spells. You tribute incantations. You get pretty much to ritual summon a monster from your hand or from your hand. And you can also tribute incantations from your hand as well, which is pretty nice. And then you can pretty much send an incantation card from your hand or face up from the field to the graveyard, except itself, to special summon an incantation monster from your deck and then add this card to your hand as another effect, which makes this card a 2-card ritual, as well as just, for example, let's say I use a Chalice Slime effect to pretty much discard a card, search this, then you ritual summon with the other incantations, and pretty much you get the that, and then you discard a Chalice Slime that you don't need anymore, and then you get this back to your hand and get another incantation. It's just absolutely insane of a card, and I think like this card is just really powerful. You don't need to play more than 1, but it's absolutely insane. And then lastly, for the last spells, more search cards, 3 Preparation of Rites, and 2 Preparation of Rites. Self-explanatory, I don't think I need to explain. It's just really good. And then the last 2 spells, this one is technically another ritual spell from the deck for the original Demise. I'm not sure if it counts so much as a ritual summon. I'm pretty sure it does, but let's read the text completely to make 100% sure. I don't think it's counted as a it doesn't count as a ritual summon, but I think it's like used to ritual summon. It's kind of a weird card. I'm not sure 100% if like it's count as a ritual summon or it just like not count, but like it is for ritual summoning. It's a weird thing that like in a way of like, you know, extra deck monsters as well, so that like you summon, for example, an extra deck synchro monster, but because it was sent to the graveyard, you cannot properly summon it back from the grave with Monster Reborn and stuff like that because it wasn't properly summoned. It could be the same idea with this one, but if you guys know, let me know in the comments down below, but I could be wrong, and this is just counted as a proper ritual summon. And then the last card is Monster Reborn, because Monster Reborn is good in everything, so you know, it's just really nice. That's pretty much does it for the main deck. Extra deck doesn't really matter, and as you've seen from the start, I use different sleeves, just because these cards are used in different extra decks of mine, or just, you know, side extra deck cards, and I felt like playing tearing out some extra decks to make for this video in a deck that like I don't really use the extra decks feels a little bit of stupid, and because of that I decided to like, you know, keep them in the original sleeves. So probably the card that I would say like the most important Link monster, not really using it that much but still pretty nice, is Nephthys the Scarred Flame. I don't know why I say Scared Flame, but whatever. Then Borreload, Crusadia Avermax, Trisbania because I want to, Ningirisu because I want to, Akashic Magician because I want to, Decotogger in its alternate art because I want to, Underclock Taker, Gaia, which is supposed to be Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. I would say like these are probably the most used cards in the extra deck than the others, at least from the Links lineup. And then the last cards are rank 10s because mostly that's what you're going to. 1 copy of Ravenous Tarantula, 1 copy of Gustav Max, which is probably the card that you go to into the most, 1 copy of number 60, not 6081. Sometimes it does come up. It's weird, but sometimes it does. And then lastly, one copy of Libe, because it's just another OTK tool if you really have to. So it's just really, really nice in that regard. So like, let's just say you open up with 2 Demises, and you pretty much like go into this, then pretty much go into this, and then you pretty much got 3 attacks on monsters, even though it's a weird one. It's like, it's one of those weird ones that can really, really help you if you're kind of stuck. I will say maybe in ruin cases, like you get 2 ruins instead of 2 Demises. Or your 2 Demises cannot pop the field or something like that, because you have protections from destruction by card effects, but not from battle. But anyway, that's it for the deck profile. I know I rumbled a little bit too much maybe, but I feel like this deck is absolutely fun. It's pretty simply basic. There's not so much something crazy about this one. You pretty much summon this and proceed to OTK. That's your entire game plan. And then if you don't able to OTK in main phase tune, you make Gustav Max, which if you play Extravagance, I recommend to maximize on Gustav Max, because it's probably the most important extra deck monsters that you have. Other than that, this deck is pretty fun, very simple, very straightforward, and very cheap, actually. You can get this deck pretty much, at least the core. If you don't have the Ritual core, you can get it for pretty cheap. I'm pretty sure that, like, you already get, like, if you're playing Rituals, you already get your hands on Incantations. But even Incantations are, like, maybe a little bit pricey right now, but they're not absolutely insane in terms of price. And then, you know, there's some other staple cards that got printed so many times that I feel like their price is pretty okay. I would say like this deck is max, and I will like I'm pretty sure like max is like $30, like max, and I'm like overstretching it. This maybe like this rarity of the super of the big ones maybe is a little bit more expensive because it's from the OTS, but the commons versions are definitely less than $1 a piece, I believe, at least in Troll and Toad. So yeah, that's pretty much it for anybody who is interested in the budget thing. See you guys next time. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe and stay tuned to the next update video coming out pretty soon, because there are a few things I want to talk about, including how to improve the channel, which is very, very important to me, because I think we will reach the point that we need to start thinking about that. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.